I now give the floor to the representative of Somalia.
Thank you, Madam President. I have the honor to deliver this statement on behalf of A3, namely the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Liberia, and my own country, Somalia. At the outset, we thank the United Kingdom for convening this important high-level meeting at the critical juncture for Sudan. We thank the Undersecretary General, Ms. Rosemary DiCarlo, and Director Adam Wosorno for their sobering and timely briefings. We also take note of the intervention by Ms. Hala Al-Karib, whose testimony reminds us of the human dimension of this conflict. What's unfolding in Sudan is not only a humanitarian emergency, it's a collapse of protection, a collapse of accountability, and increasingly a collapse of hope for millions of civilians trapped in violence they did not choose. The humanitarian situation continues to deteriorate at an alarming pace. Millions face acute hunger, displacement, and breakdown of essential services. Entire communities remain cut off from assistance. Famine conditions are no longer a distant risk. They are an imminent reality for many. In this regard, we welcome the high-level humanitarian conference for Sudan held in Washington in February of 2026, which mobilized a critical pledge to support life-saving operations. We commend the leadership of the United Nations, including UN OCHA and its humanitarian partners, as well as WFP and other agencies who continue to operate under extraordinary, dangerous conditions. We stress in the strongest terms the importance of protecting civilians, critical infrastructure, humanitarian personnel, and facilities. The targeting of humanitarian operations and civilian infrastructure is unacceptable. We condemn the attacks on humanitarian assets, including the recent attack on the World Food Programme convoy attributed to RSF elements, which further undermines the already fragile humanitarian lifelines. Humanitarian actors must be able to operate safely, rapidly, and without obstruction. This requires not only access, but resources. The scale of suffering demands a substantial and sustained increase in humanitarian funding commensurate with the gravity of the crisis. In this context, in observance of the holy month of Ramadan, we underscore the urgent need for a cessation of hostilities which will allow humanitarian assistance to reach those in need and provide a much-needed respite to civilians who have endured immense suffering. The values of this sacred time, peace, mercy, unity, should guide all efforts toward de-escalation. We urge restraint and the silencing of guns and actions that honor the spirit of Ramadan. Madam President, accountability must remain central. Credible and independent findings, including satellite-based documentation and investigative reporting, have confirmed widespread atrocities. Civilians have been deliberately targeted. Entire communities have been subjected to systematic violence. A3 condemns, in the strongest terms, the atrocities committed by the rabid support forces, including the mass killing, the sexual violence, attacks against civilians, and other grave violations of international law. When truth can be documented from orbit, when destruction is visible from the sky, then impunity on the ground becomes indefensible. This Council cannot remain passive in this face of such evidence. We encourage ongoing efforts within the Council to activate its tools, including the sanction regimes established under Resolution 1591 to promote accountability and deter further violations. Madam President, there is no military solution to this conflict. Only dialogue, political engagement, and Sudanese-led process can lead to a sustainable peace. In this regard, A3 welcomes the presentation of the Sudanese National Initiative for Peace by the Prime Minister of the Transitional Government of Sudan before this Council on December 22, 2025, as an important step towards Sudanese own pathway out of this crisis. We also welcome the reopening of the Khartoum airport and the return of the government to the capital, which represents important development toward restoring state institutions and normalcy. We commend the continued diplomatic engagement of regional and international partners, including the efforts of the United States, the Arab Republic of Egypt, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in facilitating a dialogue. We further underscore the central role of the African Union in coordination with the United Nations, including the efforts of the Secretary General's personal envoy. Ensuring the complementarity, coherence, and streamlining of mediation tracks remains essential to advancing a unified and effective political process. Madam President, external interference continues to fuel and prolong the conflict. The instruments of destruction we see in Sudan, the drones, the weapons, and ammunition, are not produced within Sudan. They are supplied and sustained by external actors whose actions have contributed directly to the continuation of the violence. This Council must do its part to halt these flows, deter further external interference, and ensure accountability for those who enable the continuation of this conflict. Madam President, the suffering of Sudanese people is no longer hidden. It's visible, it's documented. It's undeniable. The Sudanese people deserve protection. They deserve accountability. They deserve peace. A3 remains committed to supporting all efforts towards these objectives. I thank you, Madam President.
I thank the representative of Somalia for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Colombia.